We good?
Yeah.
I had no idea about West Covina. I actually had an audition for My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and in the pilot episode, she moves to West Covina and follows a guy that she likes.
Okay.
And they sing this whole song with the number about West Covina.
I did see this episode. I heard about this episode. Yeah.
Being the Inland Empire.
Yep.
And then when I was checking out your high school stuff and everything, I was like, oh shit, West Covina. Yeah, they should have put Walt in the song.
Good Burger was filmed out there as well.
Really?
Yeah, Keenan and Kel back in the days.
No way.
Home of the Good Burger.
You should go visit. So what? Your grandma was from there, Nolan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go out West Covina all the time. Like, that was the rich side. Like, we were poor, and we would go hang out at her house, West Covina. She had this beautiful pool and like lime trees and orange trees and just. I was like, every time we went, just pure luxury. I couldn't believe I was related to this person.
Dude, the place looked great. I mean, and where they filmed it on that show looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it was good enough to get a whole song about it.
Right.
Beautiful song. It starts off West Covina. Something on Broadway. Bill, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, dude. So we got Walter Thurmond III in the studio today.
King Walter.
So, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We met Bily and Walt. How about let's talk about that? How did this whole meetup happen with you two?
You know, it was pretty interesting though. So like we just won the Super Bowl. You know, confetti's coming out the air. Yeah. I run back into the locker room real quick to grab my camera. Come back onto the field, and you know, Bily just comes out of nowhere, and we take a picture.
Billy coming out of nowhere? No.
Gets on the field, you know. Everyone's on the field, you know.
Billy on the
mayhem.
field. Hey, wait, Billy, you didn't have any drinks before this, did you?
Not during the Super Bowl.
All right.
You know, and
so
then so we
actually. Go ahead.
So we fast forward a couple years, you know.
Hold on. So you just won the Super Bowl.
Won the Super Bowl.
And usually everybody's like, I'm going to Disneyland. You go to the locker room and you get out in the field. You run to Billy Walsh.
Come back and, you know, run to Billy. Billy, we take a selfie.
So you take a selfie?
Yeah, we take a selfie.
Yeah.
It was iconic. Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Iconic picture right there.
In New York.
In New York.
We got one more.
Yeah, there we go.
That's crazy. So this is the first time you guys met.
This is the first time ever. It seemed like we already knew each other, especially with the picture previously before.
Yeah.
So next year I go to New York, get injured week 2 of the season, tore my pec. Go down and sign with Philly the following year. Have the opportunity to be able to start. I'm living out in Northern Liberties. Have a neighbor, great guy, Mike Stackius.
I know Stackius.
Yeah. You know, great guy. And then we're at a fine establishment in Philly. And nice gentleman spot. And then we're sitting here. We're hanging out. And the next thing you know, Mike's like, hey, do you know my guy Billy? Billy just comes into the spot. I'm like, yeah, I know Billy. I didn't even have to think about it. Wow. I just remember the moment. Yeah, remember the moment, remember the time. And then the picture, you just sold the whole thing, you know.
And he just pulled it out?
Yeah. I think I might have posted the picture as well or something like that.
Oh, really?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so it was funny. Yeah.
Wow.
Mike comes up to me, and he was like, introduced me, and he's like, yeah, this is my buddy Walt. This is at the Gentleman's Club. And I said, yeah, I know Walt. And then I just kind of left Mike. I went up, I go start talking to Walt for a couple minutes, and I pulled out the picture. And then Walt just said in the conversation, but Stack came up to me, and he's like, yo, I went up to Walt and asked him, was he just talking shit, or was that for real? And he's also like, nah, man. How can I forget that, dude? I just won the Super Bowl. The first thing I turn around, this dude's staring next to me. We get taking a picture with me.
How did you get on the field, man?
That's a great question.
It's an interesting story. One of my best friends, Ken Weller, he was my roommate in Manhattan, New York, and the Seahawks were playing the Denver Broncos in New York City. Well, in New Jersey. And he had tickets and he had all on the field passes. And I didn't even want to go. I went to the Gentlemen's Club in New York.
Hold on,
after
wait.
the Super Bowl.
You do a lot of going to gentlemen's clubs, Bill. I just want to point that out, dude. Is it because you're such a gentleman?
He's a swell guy.
Wow.
He's neat.
Yeah. Well, and he was like, no, come on, we're gonna go on the field. I was like, all right. And then next thing you know, like we were in the field, like, you know, and I look over, I'm talking to Walt, and then I look to the right, and Ken Weller has a Seattle Seahawk on his shoulder.
Oh wow.
The actual Seahawk.
Oh.
And
That
I don't
saw
know,
that
it's kinda
photo
funny.
with Kenny with the hawk on his
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah. And then Percy Harvin has kicked his ass because Kenny went up and tried to take a selfie with him.
So he wasn't.
And he
Percy
told him to
Harvin's
get the
not as
hell
nice as Walt. You're saying?
Definitely not. I
Wow.
had the photo to prove it.
And then the next year you guys link up at the Gentlemen's Club.
Yeah, came to Philadelphia. Played. Speaking of the gentleman, Chip Kelly.
Yeah,
Chip Kelly brought in.
Yeah, like we were so pumped. We were pumped that a new team was coming. Yeah. And dude, I remember just on the general, like I loved watching you play.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I watched you play safety.
Yeah.
I mean, I played. Bily and I played in high school and college. We know an athlete when we see one running around. And I saw the way you move your hips on the field, the way you turn and cover and ball hog.
Yeah, thanks, man.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, Philly is special. The fan base is special. It was very unique, one of a kind, most definitely. The thing I love the most about the city and the fan base, you're a tough fan base. You got sticklers. But, since it's being like a very blue-collar town and everything, you guys are, hey, if I'm going to work and I'm doing my job, you respect the professional athletes to go out there and do their job, and I respect that a lot. It can get out of hand sometimes, but that's just the nature. It's all in good fun, all in good sport. Yeah, it's a lot of passion. A lot of passion.
Well, we booed this weekend. We booed the team.
Guys, man.
We booed this weekend at halftime. Or right, we were down 17-0.
Yeah.
And when you're down 17-0, and this is how it's nothing personal.
Yeah.
We're down 17-0. The coach, the plays aren't looking good that are being called. Whatever about ball. Like no one cared about. There wasn't one certain player messing up. I think it was just like it looked like rust.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to see it, we're not. It's not personal.
It's week one.
Yeah, and that I have text messages. Oh, they're going to score 30 the second half.
Yeah.
I think the fans, we know that they're going to rise up and make the occasion happen, but I don't know. Like
I think through the years,
do.
I think the fans just became realist. They didn't want to get don't want to get too high over a season or over a team.
Yeah.
Because it has led to let down in some situations. It kind of reminded me of the year they won the Super Bowl. Wentz goes down, and I'm back in Philly during this time and talk to some of the people and everything, and there's a lot of pessimism that was going on during that time, and I'm like, hey, you got to trust this guy, Nick Foles. He can do it. He's going to stand in that pocket. He's going to make the throws that are necessary. And even as, you win a playoff game, you win another one, and you're getting to, people are still in disbelief.
Yeah.
Because you guys been there before with against the Patriots and couldn't pull it off. Obviously you had that. There was a lot within that game. T.O.'s coming off a broken leg and stuff like that, and still came back and played.
I want to show you something because you brought up that game with Nick Foles.
Yep.
I was at that game, Bill. Bill, you there? I was
Yeah.
at that game with Kenny
I'm
Weller.
here.
And Kenny Weller is actually responsible for you two guys meeting up on the field because Kenny got you on the field. I was at the
Kenny gave me
game
the ticket.
where
Yeah.
Wentz got hurt in L.A. with Kenny.
Oh, the Rams game.
And everybody was being pessimist.
Yeah.
And I even screenshotted it after we won the Super Bowl because on my Facebook, I wrote December 11th, I trust Nick Foles.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wrote as soon as he got hurt, I trust Nick Foles.
And he delivered.
He did deliver.
Yeah. He even delivered on his last year with the Birds. You know,
Great.
You know, it was a missed catch, which was a very crucial catch at the end of the game. But it's that was a tough one to see though. But it was great for the city to get a championship. That's for sure, because it was a long time coming. Long time coming.
And you know what? A lot of people don't understand. Now you know, because you played there, you live there, you're friends with people that are gigantic fans of the Eagles now. So it's like you get it. Totally, from an outsider's point of view, I don't understand that either. Actually, about Eagles fans, you said there's a lot of pessimists and people like to trash talk the team. A lot of my friends growing up or going through high school and college, same way. They suck this year. This, that. I remember the one year when McNabb went down and Garcia came in. I was like, nah, they're going to go to the playoffs. They're 5-6-1.
Yeah.
And Garcia ripped off 6 games and took them to the playoffs. I don't know if I'm just an optimist, but I don't like that about that. I don't like that about the fan base.
The fan base, it does bleed over onto the team. I think the players feel that. The players feel, the vibe of the city. Their support system, that being the fans, and when the fans aren't really, behind the team, it's tough. It does make things tougher. From a, like, oh, you can't really rely on the fans or whatever, and it's the guys that are inside the the locker room and everything like that. But everyone loves the support of their team, especially in home games. There were some games I played in, and we signed a individual to a nice chunk of change out there, and the guys are in our end zone as we're trying to just stop this team. They're having chance that this guy sucks. It's like, man, like, what about the confidence and morale aspect of you guys are chanting he sucks within the situation, and like.
And it was an Eagle. They were chanting at one of the Eagles.
Yeah, one of the Eagle guys.
Oh my
God. So
that's
ridiculous.
it's
like
Do you feel like the Hawks fan base had that positive energy?
Crazy.
Home games for sure. And when it comes down to the opposing team, they're not the nicest fans. You're not the nicest fans. I've seen some.
Oh, the Hawks.
The Hawks.
Yes,
oh yeah. I've seen some disrespectful things out there.
Oh wow.
Unfortunately, because again, you see a guy that goes down like Navarro Bowman. He dislocates his whole knee off and stuff like that. And he's getting carried off. And you have guys that are throwing popcorn and soda on him.
Really?
Carried off.
Yeah.
It's a little tasteless, and it's like there's no space for that in the sport at all. Any sports for that matter, There's some decency that needs to go on from just human conduct at that point, So, but again, when you have fan base, like this. People in the Pacific Northwest are just unbelievable, and I played at Oregon as well.
Yeah,
it kind of carries over as well. It's just I don't know if it's it's overcast 24/7 out of the year, and they have something to hold on to and cheer about. But there's something about the Pacific Northwest fans, though, for sure. That's different from some other teams.
That was one of the first things we ever could get excited about up in Seattle.
Well, when Russell Wilson came in and started.
Yeah, when
games?
when they became good. Yeah, when they got good for that hot second, that was like, And plus the city, it was a weird time because the city was literally exploding, like population-wise. More and more human beings were moving to that city, and then you had true bandwagon fans, which is good for business.
Why was everybody moving to Seattle anyway?
Tech
boom,
okay.
Amazon's out there.
Okay.
Microsoft, T-Mobile. I mean, you have quite a few out there that are bringing in a nice workforce.
So, Pete Carroll, Seattle. So, Stacks told us. So, Pete Carroll recruited you from to go to USC, but didn't offer you a scholarship.
Oh man!
But then drafted you.
Yeah, so we have some history there.
That's so interesting.
They sent one of the recruiters out one time, and in high school I was just skin and bones. I came into college at 169.
Wow.
I was a small guy, so I didn't really fit into Pete Carroll's scheme and guys in that regard. They ended up bringing in 2 of the top 5 corners in the country that year too. So where I was at, I was just small on a totem pole and stuff like that. And so we had I've had some battles with SC through my college career, and then coming to Seattle. I ended up getting drafted. Pete's on the phone. He's like, he's like, there's no more. There's no more Ducks and there's no more Trojans. It's just Seahawks.
No way.
I was like, hey, okay.
That's awesome.
Okay,
That's so cool.
Yeah, great coach. He really knows how to, pull guys together and be able to, bring the most out of them. He has a philosophy called just always compete. He doesn't really care that if you're a guy who's undrafted, a guy who's making some decent money, if you're out here competing, then you're going to have an opportunity to be able to play. They'll find a spot for you. Obviously, there's an economic standpoint to where if a guy's getting paid $10 million, he's going to be on the field. That's just an investment standpoint, Yeah. But early on in that those earlier years, he was that philosophy could hold true because we didn't really have too many guys that commanded that much of a capital gain, financial
that makes sense.
Right. And so you have a lot of young guys that were coming in and making a name for themselves in those early years. We had a very young team, but it was a team that guys were running fast, hitting hard. Playbook wasn't extravagant like a Pittsburgh Steelers defensive playbook. To where it's just letting guys go out there and fly around and just play ball.
The Pittsburgh, they're running the 3-4, multiple
3-4. 3-4, zone blitz. You have guys coming from all over the field. These guys are, it really expand your cerebral, thinking capacity as you're out there on the field. And it's tough for some players because
pick it up
because you're trying to figure out what you're doing, and then you're trying to see what's coming on the opposite side on offense.
When you're thinking you're done.
Yeah. You're not really playing fluid. That's why older guys, have a, they transition and play a little bit longer because they're comfortable. They have a grasp of the playbook, and they're not having to think, and now they're just reacting to what they see on the opposite side, And so with the playbook being kind of condensed and kind of a little bit straightforward, because we pretty much just ran man and cover 3.
So was that the defense coordinator? Or was that Pete Carroll?
I think it's Pete's philosophy, his style of
keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, but if it's not broke, don't fix it type of things.
And let the athletes go out and do their thing.
Go out there, it's know yourself just as you know your opponent type of deal, and so it's we play such a straightforward defense, then we kind of train for all the weaknesses of that defense. So when you're doing that, puts the offense in a bind because the offense is going to run plays that are naturally going to beat those defenses. And so when those plays aren't there, then that gives the quarterback has to hold the ball, and now we get a sack. And so that was pretty much what we did all season long.
Right.
We were number 1 in all statistical categories.
So
you
guys were just
for a while.
For a while, for 2 years at that point, after the Super Bowl run, and then the next year when they went to the Super Bowl.
Do you feel like he's extra good at coaching D-backs just because of his history? Do you feel like as a coach, you feel like the system's built to bring up dudes that may not work in other systems because of his philosophy and his history there?
Yeah, that's what I was saying with his style of corner. I'm a little short by a couple of inches as far as the typical guy. He wants a guy who's probably 6 foot to 6'2".
Byron Maxwell.
Yeah, Byron Maxwell, nice long corners, because his whole technique and philosophy is to get up in their face and press, even though we're playing cover 3, always challenging, always competing. And my wingspan, I have a 6'4" wingspan. I lost the height, but I got the wingspan as a Sherm or Brandon Browner and stuff like that.
True hawk.
Yeah. Right. And so, his philosophy at the corner position, it's an old school technique, really aggressive, really in your face, hands on, to really disrupting timing of the routes and everything. And that's something that I was looking for coming out of college, was to be able to better my press technique and be a little bit more patient and get more hands on, and it worked out perfect, for me.
That's awesome.
being in that system.
And then
Now,
go ahead, Bill.
So did you guys run a lot of quarters, the corners aren't on an island and safeties are kind of crashing the box at all?
With Philly, we did. We ran a lot of quarters in with the Eagles. I ran a lot of quarters in Oregon too during my time there, and then coming to Seattle, we played a lot of cover 3, a lot of man. We mixed in some cover 2 and stuff like that there, depending on different parts of the field. But it was just straightforward. Yeah.
Because when I was in college, I know the college system is a lot different than the NFL's. I ran a quarter system, and we did a lot of zone blitzing as well. And it's like Pittsburgh or Navy's defense, and a lot of times where it's just like we would just thumper, and sometimes I led the team behind with tackles behind the backfield. Like we had 16 tackles.
Always in the box, depending on your help.
Yeah, depending on the help, and the corners would be on an island, and a lot of times it's either a quarter system or we would just run zone blitzing. So we would find ourselves a lot of times checking out of blitzes or having blitz appeal in certain situations when motion goes. So I can see why a lot of times you end up in cover 3.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you're saying, we ran a lot of quarters with the birds, and put the corners out on islands and everything. And again, some of our corners previously probably hadn't played too much quarters in their career leading up to that point, which puts a lot of stress to where you have to defend the post. That was the one thing that my DB coach told us when I come into Oregon. He was like, "Hey, can you defend the posts? Because just like you're saying, we play a lot of corners, and the corners gonna be on islands. And you're not gonna have no help in the middle of the field, and you have to go out there and go make that play. And they're gonna try you every chance they get. Sure enough. So, it tests your resolve.
Now you're talking.
Was that the rule? The corner would always, with the Eagles, the corner would always be the number one responsibility would be the post, then the dig, then the curl, and the safety would be curl, dig, post. The safety's kind of underneath it, and the corner's on top of it.
Yeah, most definitely. Quarters is quarters at the high school level, college, at the pro level. You might throw a little different fronts here and there, and throw in some little extra components. But all the coverages are the same that guys are used to playing through the course of their careers. Some of these defensive coordinators get fancy, and really mix it up just because there's a lot on the line. These quarterbacks are very smart, and they try to go out there and try to confuse the quarterbacks. But then, as you've seen with the Seattle Seahawks, we played very basic defense, and look what we did to one of the all-time greatest offenses going into that season as well, and how it really flustered them.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, just the way that your D-back crew came, just birthed out of nowhere, the Legion of Boom was crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, was Sherman drafted first round? He's a late
no, he
draft,
was
right?
drafted fifth round.
Fifth round.
Yeah,
you were in the fourth, right?
Fifth round.
And then Cam Chancellor was
is fifth round. So it was Earl, myself, and Cam got drafted together, and then Sherm came in the following year.
Okay.
Yeah, so did a overhaul of the defensive back. I mean, the whole team had to get overhauled at that point.
Yeah.
And
then Browner.
And then He brought Browner in out of Canada. He was playing out there for several years, and they brought him out that following year with when Sherm came in. So it was Maxwell, Sherm in the same class.
Okay.
And then Brandon came in that summer.
You guys were great.
Yeah. Everyone had chips on their shoulders. Everyone had something to prove. Earl, he was 20 when he got drafted. He can't even go to the bar. He's a young guy.
I'm sure he made it there.
But he turned 21 like a month later or something like that.
Well, if you met Billy, you could go to the gentleman's club.
Yeah.
Hey, what's funny? Well, after we met at the Super Bowl, after you had your victory, I had the pleasure of meeting one of your star quarterback on the set of Entourage.
Okay, yeah, I was over that, yeah.
So I was hanging with Doug Ellen, and he invited me on set. And what do you know? Russell Wilson was invited on set the same day. So we were sitting at Warner Brothers Studio, and we had. You guys have your headsets on, but I don't have. I have my headset on, and Doug's like, "Here, sit down and listen to this." So we're watching this whole scene go down for a couple hours, and when it hit cut, we take them off. We start shooting the shit, and I said, "Hey, by the way, I was at the Super Bowl when I was on the field. I didn't get a chance to come up to you, but I got a chance to talk to one of your defensive backs." And he was like, "Who?" And I was like, "Walt." And I showed him a picture. And he's like, "Oh, man, that's great." He's like, "Man," and he stopped dead cold turkey. He's like, man, I hope we get him back this year. We really need that boy."
I will say, man, as a Hawks fan, bro, your injuries were such bummers, man, because you were such a pivotal part. And before everybody else stepped up, you were a guy. I remember when you went down. I remember when you went down, and then Sherm came in, and we didn't know who Sherm was.
Oh,
and we're like,
the Browns game.
Yes, dude. Yeah. And I remember really distinctly being like, "Damn it, dude."
He's a true Hawk fan.
Yeah.
I remember that game.
I
remember that game. I was bummed. We were all bummed. We're like, "Damn, Thurmond went down," and then we didn't know how good Sherm was going to be, so it all worked out. But yeah, that was. Yeah, man.
Interesting time, But yeah, it was something in the making, was be able to work out with Sherm, and especially because the year he came in, it was a lockout year, so we didn't have any OTAs or any off-season workouts and stuff like that, And I knew Sherm from his time at Stanford being a receiver.
Uh-huh.
And
Did he play both ways, or he was just a receiver?
He started out as a receiver,
Uh-huh.
and then they transitioned him to corner. I think he was going both ways, and then they
Uh-huh.
transitioned him to corner. I think that probably his senior year or
Wow.
senior year or something like that. Yeah, so
That worked out.
and then one of his teammates from high school was at Oregon, Marvin Johnson, and a bunch of the DBs we would play. What were we playing, like Call of Duty or Rainbow Six online? We would just all hop online, and Sherm would hop on and play with us and
No
everything.
way.
So I knew Sherm, just not from on the field, but then we were playing
Yeah.
games and everything.
That's
And then we drafted him. I was like, oh, come out here and get these workouts in as we're getting ready, because there's no off season and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting to be able to work out with him, see what his capabilities were, and just being able to talk through the process of not making the game bigger than what it was. I got some great advice coming in my sophomore year in high school. Guys can get a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, but it's still football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was a pivotal thing to me, understanding that early on, to where this, it's always going to stay the same. Your toughness, your grit, what you bring to the game, it's going to be that. And then as you transition to these next levels,
Mm-hmm.
guys are going to get bigger and faster, and you're going to grow into yourself as well during that same time,
Step
and,
up.
and you step up, exactly. And we have the philosophy next man up. So if someone goes down, the next person's right in there.
Mhm.
And credit to Sherm, he came in there, he handled his job, and he never looked back. Given an opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's what you ask for a guy from an organizational standpoint. Even from a teammate standpoint as well, though. 'Cause you don't want to have that lull. From a guy who's playing decent. And you come back and you kind of lose a step, but he came in and had a tremendous year.
Yeah.
I think he ended with like 4 or 5 picks.
Yeah.
Guys are challenging him. Rookie coming in, and you got those opportunities, and they didn't know he had a vertical like he did.
Oh.
Right.
He's
right.
he's like a 48-foot triple jumper.
Mhm.
Back in college and everything. So the guy has tremendous bounce and everything. And guys would throw it up, and sure enough, he's coming down with the
Coming
ball.
down with the ball.
He just-
He's
yeah,
playing
he was-
receiver. He's playing like a
He's
receiver.
playing like a
Yeah.
receiver, and it's cover 3. So you're all you have to do is defend the deep ball, essentially. So
Yeah.
and he's very smart, high IQ. So he knew, if I get beat here, I'm going to the fade, and sure enough, the ball's thrown. He's coming down with it, and there's nothing that you can do.
The
Yeah.
Stanford education. So
But he made it. But he made the game simple. He broke
Yeah.
it down. And what's my
Which
job?
is smart.
Yeah, which is smart. Let's work hard. Let's work smarter, not harder.
Uh-huh.
And that's exactly what he did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then obviously you have, Cam and Earl back there in the middle of the field hovering, and
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cam was a hitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was a hitter.
Was he a hitter?
Yeah.
That's an
He was a
understatement.
hard. Yeah. It was an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him do some things out
Big
there.
time
It's just
hitter.
crazy.
Like-
Yeah. No, I mean the he kind of came in his own that Cleveland game.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
really?
He had some hits in there on the running back. That was just like, oh man, like
Yeah.
who's
Right.
this guy Ken? 'Cause this was his first year starting and getting out there and everything, and
Uh-huh.
Everyone's like, who's this safety that came in, late round pick, 5th round.
Mhm.
He had he's kind of too big. I think everyone was transitioning to like that smaller safety. That's where we get that Earl come in, and
Uh-huh.
and Cam just came in there and proved everybody wrong.
Played like a linebacker.
Oh man,
He would hit, dude.
Yeah.
The other underrated was Browner, bro. That dude hit almost as hard as
Cam did.
as Cam.
Yeah.
Like for that couple of seasons, he was wrecking people.
I mean, yeah, he's a big. He's 6'3", 6'4",
Mhm.
220 pounds, 225
Yeah.
pounds. So he's not a he's
Plays
not
like
a
a
small-
linebacker.
Yeah, he's a safety body type,
Yeah.
really. At
Yeah.
the corner position.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just really worked out for him.
Oh, so I wanted to ask. So I saw a Facebook or Instagram post that you put up. I didn't know you got hurt your senior year in Oregon,
Yeah.
and then essentially what were you projected to go higher before you got hurt, or was there any projections on you before your senior
Yeah,
year?
I could have left early. I had the
Okay.
the second or fourth round speculation coming my junior year.
Okay.
I had some injuries, and I just wanted to come back out there and prove to myself just to being able
Your
to play
senior
at
year.
my senior to play at a higher level.
Yeah.
Going into that 4th game, I already had a punt return for a touchdown, a pick for a touchdown, at 2 interceptions. So
Killing it.
Yeah, so that was within the 3 games. So just projection wise, I was looking to do some damage,
Yeah.
And then I tore my knee on a kickoff return, ACL, MCL, PCL,
Mhm.
Damn.
and the trifecta as they call it. And that kind of set me back a little bit. But from a mental standpoint, I came back the next day, talked to Chip, and it was tough because it took so long for them to even tell me what happened to my knee. Because usually we had the MRI earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And usually around like that 4 or 5 o'clock on a Sunday, they tell you like, oh, this is what happened to you. They didn't tell me until about like 9 o'clock. 8 or 9 o'clock. That evening, as far as what happened, because it was tough for somebody to break the news.
Well, I'm sure you knew it was wiggling around and something was off, maybe.
Yeah, I knew something was off, but didn't know it was to the extent that was in, because as soon as I got hit, I kind of popped up and trotted off the field.
Yeah.
I got I got one ligament holding my leg together, and I'm jogging off the field. So just the pain tolerance and just my mental capacity on it, it just didn't think that was the severity of the injury.
Yeah.
And so so just also within that aspect, had me thinking about just life after football as well. Just being positive, realistically thinking, what are my interests. And so I started to learn the film industry space.
That's dope.
Yeah. So that's how I got into the whole film space and everything, and learned through that process before starting a film production company back in 2012.
Okay. Yeah. So you were, while you were injured, you said you transferred into like EPing on a.
Yeah. So I studied through the project. A good friend of mine during this time, he was a musician and in the space as well, and invested into a documentary project on spoken word poetry in the state of and it's kind of the state of the union and the power of words. That was in 2012, so that was the first project I got into.
What's the documentary called?
It's called Word Warriors 3.
Word Warriors 3.
Yep.
Okay. I gotta check it out.
Yeah. So we, that was the first project. Then a couple years later, when I go to New York, the director that directed that film, he sits on the board of Columbia University. He's a screenwriter, professor there.
Okay.
And he was getting ready. They were raising money for a project out of the Harlem area. And so I was one of the first investors within that project as well, and it ended up getting made. Loretta Devine, Amari Harwick was also starred in it. Daniel Beatty was the main lead and writer of the project.
Okay.
That was the feature space film. Invested in another project called Destin with Corey Hardwick and what's her name? Forget about it.
So basically,
A really cool lady.
you went in.
Yeah, right.
Well, actually, since you're in the documentary, our one of our producers and he's a DP on Birds Court, Todd Hickey. He's a documentary maker, and he's sports documentaries too. But he's actually looking. He had a pitch deck together when we were doing some editing for something called Harlem Lacrosse. I don't know.
Harlem Lacrosse.
Yeah, it's about lacrosse students, and I think it's a docu-series they were pitching. But yeah, Harlem Lacrosse, about lacrosse students in Harlem.
Wow.
Lacrosse players in Harlem.
They say Jim Brown was a better lacrosse player than he was a running back.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was an All-American lacrosse player.
Wow. Well, that's crazy because he's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? That's like
it doesn't get better than that. Wow. So now you're. So as far as football and sports goes, what's your involvement in that? And is it any? And yeah, let's definitely talk about where you're kind of getting with film and where you want to go and what your vision is for creatively for yourself.
As far as football, retired. It was one of those things, just battling injuries. Coming off the knee, and then 2 years later, I broke my leg. When I had the opportunity to start, and then
in Philly.
No, this was Seattle.
Okay, in Seattle.
This is Seattle. Yeah, this is my second year in the league, and then this was like October, my second year at the league. Then 5 months later, I re-broke the same leg, so that put me on the shelf for that third year. And then 2 years later, I go to New York, tear my pec.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then I come down to Philly.
And
Broad Street Bullies.
The owner there is my girlfriend's boss.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's a big giant in the film industry, obviously.
Yeah.
So limited time in New York. But you were starting there, I think, right? Or no, you were.
I was starting nickel.
Yeah,
I was starting nickel.
And then you went to Philly, and then, but I guess the question is, and I remember your career in Philly, and you played wonderful when you were there, and the fan base was really. We thought you were going to come back, but then all of a sudden, you just were. That's it.
Yeah,
the money wasn't enough.
It's been a long time. I was thinking about it quite a bit. Especially probably after I broke my leg. I was kind of within myself, just if I had another serious injury to where I had to go underneath the knife, that I was gonna probably just hang him up.
Oh, so it was a decision you made.
So when I tore my pec, it was one of those things. So it was like, okay, it's not a lower extremity injury.
Yeah.
I'll bounce back from this. I play one more, and then just life during the time, and my heart not being in it as it once was. Just because of the injury, it seems like every time I had an injury and a surgery, it just took away that passion for the game a little bit.
You're just rehabbing instead of focusing on getting better.
And people don't realize that the rehab process is more strenuous and harder than going out there and playing in some regards. You're there in the off season, having to get better while everyone's having a true off season and having that personal time, and you're there trying to rehab to get better, and then you're going right back to the full grind of the season. It gets older after a while.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Even though you're doing something that you love, but that physical component, it's like, go out there and work out every single day.
Especially
two times a day, set 6 days a week. This is the rehab process in some cases,
Yeah.
So it's not even like a regular, I can go work out 3 times a week and try to get going. Like, you're out there almost every day having to do something.
You're not maintaining. You're bringing an injury back.
Yeah, you're bringing the injury back, and then you're also having to maintain and develop on top of that, because the muscle dystrophy and things like that, that are associated with some of the injuries that you may have. So, just a lot of wear and tear, and just was diving. Pretty much, I played 6 years, and it was one of those things. 6 years pro. 3 of those were actually on the field, and 3 of those were injured and pursuing life off the field, which would be in the film production space. So, so it was kind of in the balance, going 50-50 there, and I wanted to, dive full hand and get my hands dirty in the film production space, and that was also another reason why I wanted to ultimately retire as well.
Okay, just because that's also the earlier you start, the better off you are.
Yeah.
So
and then you have a lot of other stuff that are associated with it, especially with the the CTE aspect. Done some extensive research in that space. And have a daughter. And the residual effects, you kind of see all these different things that are coming out, even with the Antonio Brown situation. It's like, how much of that stuff is, associated to some of his head trauma, So, there's a lot of different things that doesn't really get talked about, especially the nature of the game.
Yeah.
But, this aspect of the game has been around, for, 100 years plus, of its inception. This is not the first time that, this has been brought up. The president had to step in, 1904, 1905, because of how many deaths that were associated with football.
Football?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, during the college ranks, So, it's, you know what you sign up for to a degree. But, when you have the medicine, when the medicine's there, when you have the doctor that's there, but then you're suppressing that information, that's a different situation now. It's like if you're a boxer, hey, you're going to get punch drunk. They call it punch drunk, but, it's kind of CTE. It's
CTE.
It's a repetitive head trauma, at the end of the day, And so I think that's what's kind of rubbed the league the wrong way, of the suppression, and they're kind of having to play catch up, even though they could have been ahead of it, and been in front of it, it would have been all fine, because people would have knew what they were getting into. But now, since there's like this lack of authenticity on the matter, it puts him in a big bind, obviously, with everything else that's happening within the internal constructs of the league.
Well, even as kids, like when we were playing as kids, I played with Bily our whole life. Like, we'd line them up. The helmets were weapons.
Oh, yeah.
And you would lay down and then get up. The coach would blow the whistle, and you'd get off your back and just kill each other with the helmet.
Yeah.
And you did this 5 days a week, and then a game on Saturday for 15 years.
Yeah.
And then you go to high school, and then college, and then you went in the pros and did it. And when you're older. So it's just like, I
couldn't imagine being part of it, because was it my first year? I think my first year, they still had the double days. And then the next year they had like the limited practices and everything. But I couldn't imagine like, being in the early 2000s, 90s, 80s where you're, back then, you actually had to have those double days because guys are going working at a mill or, working at some factory or something like that and having to come in and get back into shape. So like you're really using that time to, really, to get back into shape, to get ready to play. Now, it's a well-oiled machine to where your off season, you're training for your livelihood now to where you don't really need that much work. But, guys are going out there full contact like it's a game in practices.
I know. Yeah.
which is interesting. So.
And then the head, a concussion was you got your bell rung.
Oh yeah.
So when you got your bell rung, in high school and college, now it's a concussion.
Yeah. Now it's a concussion. Now they're taking notice of it and watching if the guy, is unconscious for that split second, and you can always tell when a guy gets, I'm back at it. Did anyone see?
Yeah. What happened? We're cool?
Yeah.
Bily, what happened one time? We were playing University of Penn, and he came to the sideline, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm good. I'm just writing the plays on my arm. And he's like, what? You're writing the plays on your arm? And he just watched me, and he got the trainer to take my helmet. And I'd got a concussion a couple plays before. I was just trying to figure out the plays on the wristband, and I was writing shit. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to stick it out. Especially a young guy or even a guy has a couple years is kind of on the fence. Who knows when you're gonna get that next opportunity to go out there and go play?
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to make a team and compete. So
make money. Especially when money's involved.
A lot of times, some of those hits, you just sweep them beneath the rug and just keep on going. Because you just can't afford to not come off the field because it's, someone's gonna take your spot.
Yeah. Somebody wants that spot.
Oh yeah, especially when you're not tied into that position with having big money on it. To where you're constantly fighting and scrapping for it.
Billy's trying to say something.
All right, Bill.
Yeah, I remember like one time in college, we were going into a playoff game, and it's college football, but to me the stakes were high, and to the guys on the field I was playing with, the stakes were high, and there was times just like you get 12 to 15 tackles a game, and then you're coming in, you're a little lighter than a pulling guard coming out, and you're just going head on head, and sometimes I remember there's times I look to like my safety, I would call my brother, I would say, hey man, you got to line me up because I'm not going to be able to I can't think out here right now. But I can react and play football, but like my brain was slowing down in terms of being able, and that's like, I guess called part of getting your bell rung during the early 2000s, I wasn't writing the plays on my arm.
The stakes are always high, no matter what level you're playing at. Once you step between those white lines, it's all or nothing. There's no half step. There's nothing in between. It's especially playing at any level. You just can't go out there not prepared. If you go out there not prepared, you're gonna get hurt and you're gonna get someone else hurt.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of the matter. I had my rookie year. It was my first opportunity to start. We're playing against the Arizona Cardinals, and it's like a toss play. It gets out to the side of to the sideline, going in for tackle, and our defensive end is 310 pounds, 305 pounds. I just take a knee to the back of the head from him.
Oh.
I was knocked for a little second there.
Yeah.
I got back up, went back in, or it stayed on the field at that point.
Yeah.
And just like you said, you wrote down the plays on. What I would do in those type of situations, I would go over the coverage, and I would try to, okay, this is what I have, okay, blah, 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 just to make sure that I wasn't forgetting that I got really concussed in that matter of forgetting.
Yeah.
Then after the game, it was like a wave. Brushed over me, as I'm walking to the car, my mom and everything, and I was like, oh, yep, I got a concussion. Let me go back inside real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was wild. Just how far, how long it took.
You're like, what's going on?
Yeah, there's different types. I got the worst one I ever got was when I was 14. I was a freshman in high school, and I didn't know I had one. That's how bad it was. It was just like, in the whole practice, it was in practice. And practice was a blur.
Yep.
And when I got home, I was like, what the hell? And not till the next morning I realized, like, wow.
Yeah, we had
had to go see somebody.
Back in college, we had a guy who got knocked into last week, essentially. He got They took him out. He got concussion, full on concussion. They were like, "Oh, where you at?" He's like, "Oh, I'm in Houston." He's like, "No, that was last week." He's like, "Oh,
No
shit."
way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You remind me, you were talking about like the injuries, and it reminds me of Andrew Luck coming out because everybody was pretty blown away by that. Yeah.
Now, when you do the research, what I wanted to say was how reversing CTE. Now, I haven't done so much research, but I do know that I've got my bell wrong. A ton of people get their bell wrong, and there's a lot of concussions. But I don't know if it's living out in California, but the yoga and like the meditation studios and getting the oxygen to your brain really help.
Yeah, there's gonna be some methods to be able to help with the brain function and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I found turmeric is really good for you. Turmeric.
So are you taking turmeric?
Coconut oils
Yeah.
are really good for you. Turmeric is interesting because it's a product that's heavily consumed in India. And they actually have one.
Food,
they have a lot. One of the smallest diagnosis of like dementia within the country.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
very interesting.
And they've linked that to like probably like the turmeric intake.
Because it's anti-inflammatory, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah. So I mean, again, like with the
blueberries,
blueberries,
eat them every day.
With the with the concussion aspect, it's that inflammation that's getting into the brain.
Inflammation.
It's a tau protein is really what the brain is releasing
Uh-huh.
to create some of these little pockets, and it's a matter of just how the brain is being able to release itself. It's no different if you sprain your ankle or sprain your knee.
Mhm.
It's the body's way of protecting itself. And so with some of these these hits, the body's just like, hey, what's going on? Let's send something here to protect ourselves.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
really
scar
what it is.
tissue,
Yeah, exactly. So and then it comes back around to where it's you have this residual effect because the protein gets hard now, and now it's there's nowhere for it to go inside the skull, and now it's having to imprint itself into the brain. Yeah. So that's why when you post mortem, they start to cut up the brain to see the diagnosis of he has CTE. That's one of the manners. And so right now you can't diagnose it, in the aspect of individual that's living right now, just because of the
way they have to do it.
Because of the way they have to do it, or whatever the process is for.
Can't open that brain up, man. They don't know how to do that.
Yeah, yeah, not effectively, And you CAT scans and stuff like that, but it's.
I heard they're about 2 to 3 years out from actually finding some type, the first version of some type of liquid that they can inject, like a spinal tap, but for the brain.
Yeah.
And it can find out if you have CTE while you're living.
Well, Hannibal Lecter did it in Silence of the Lambs.
God damn it, dude. So,
Clarice.
I do remember that.
The last person that examined me, I once ate her liver with some fava beans and a sweet Chianti.
Is that Ray Liotta who ate his own brain and he think he has CTE right now? Ray Liotta?
Oh, Ray, does he?
No, he's
from the movie.
Scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely he does, though.
Which movie?
It was
That's
Hannibal. It's Hannibal.
That's the one you're talking about. It was Ray Liotta.
And Hannibal. Yeah, the second one though.
Oh, no, the second one.
Yeah,
Hannibal.
Yeah,
Hannibal. Okay,
yeah.
I was talking about the first
The one you're talking about. That's the scene. It's Ray Liotta.
Well, no, Silence of the Lambs, the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a scene where
Anthony
he actually
Hopkins.
takes
He takes
Ray
his
Liotta's
brain.
head off.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he's like eating his brain.
Oh, yeah. In okay. Yeah.
Off, he cooked it for him and he served it to him and he was
Yeah.
He's eating it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great movie, though.
CTE's not that bad. It could be worse.
Could be worse. A lot of things.
Well, yeah. So yeah, with CTE, I mean, you just I take precautionary. I don't want to be old. I feel that in any research I've ever done, I see that human beings we're gonna outlive our parents. Maybe about 30 years we're supposed to, our generation.
Outlive them, yeah.
Yeah. So like average lifespan, if you're gonna try to be healthy at least. It's going to go up like to 100, 105.
Okay.
Our generation is supposed to live a lot longer.
Okay, yeah,
From
I can feel it.
stuff I've been seeing. But is your brain going to be there? And
that's the tricky part, right?
yeah. So, I mean, I'm doing what I can.
Most definitely,
for me, I'm trying anyway.
Yeah. That's something I took in consideration as well. Like you said, hey, if we're going to be around here for 100 plus years, is the brain going to be able to keep up with it? Obviously, the bodies are going to wear down and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I felt that as soon as I retired and stopped working out and everything, and how vital working out was to, keeping my knee, more stabilized, or my
Dude,
pec.
the muscles.
Yeah, the muscles. Yeah, the little muscles. Yeah, you take it for granted,
Yeah.
And so it's hey, everyone needs to take care of yourself, So.
Do you do yoga at all?
I ended up playing a softball game yesterday with our company, and today I had ice on my knees last night. My knees
was Mahoney out there? Did Mahoney make appearance? I think he said he's still out in Philly though, so I don't know.
Is he still out here? I root for him, man.
I haven't seen him in a while.
And I was interested. Speaking of Mahoney, is that how you spell his name?
Mahoney.
Mahoney, yeah. So Mahoney, what's he up to these days? Is he getting back in softball, or
he's kind of just went off the grid? I'm trying to figure out what he's doing. Last thing I heard, after Greg Listino blew his cover there, and he was on an undercover mission. So, he's not talking to me right now.
So I got it. Okay. Can we talk about this? Can we talk about this story? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. Because I actually read this in. We're talking about the same thing, right? The softball character.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I read this. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Yeah. So tell me what happened. Like.
Oh, so back in my times in Seattle, I came across and met this gentleman at a restaurant bar. I was having lunch or having dinner rather.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a guy across the way. We just kind of hit it off in conversation and everything. And he was on duty. He was at work and stuff like that. And as we're talking, find out that he's is just an amazing rec league player. A softball actually. Is one of the sports that he played. And so I was just always fascinated with this guy's story. And so when I go out to Philly, and I played softball myself in the off season and stuff like that. I played in Seattle. Actually, Richard Sherman had a celebrity softball event, Mariner Stadium, and actually hit the walk-off home run to win the game for our team.
Did?
Yeah. So I mean, myself, awesome. I have a little, softball prowess in me,
Yeah.
And so I'm hearing this story, with the guy's name is Dick Mahoney.
Uh-huh.
And so I go out to Philly, and I'm looking. We just completed the year with the Birds. And it's obviously, I'm like, man, I want to get back out here and play some softball. It's been a couple of years. I want to get back out here. And our mutual friend, Stack, his buddy, Greg Listino, is a big avid, rec league player himself. He plays hockey, he does the basketball, he does softball and stuff like that. And they had a couple of openings. And so, I was like, I want to come and join the team and play and everything. And it's like, I don't want to go as myself, just because of the, whatever, that just come off the season or whatever the case is, just trying to be a little incognito. And so I was like, just put my name down as Dick Mahoney. And so I was kind of commemorating this guy, I met at the restaurant, who was just, well-known, rec league guy out in the Pacific Northwest. And, so I went up and I got in the full regalia and dressed up as him and stuff like that, and trying to imitate his game best as I could, Yeah. And, the first game, I go out there, I strike out. No, first I had one contact, flew out, and then I strike out. I was like, who strikes out in softball? So I had this chip on my shoulder, like, man, I had to harness this power from Mahoney here. I'm getting rusty. And so the next game, I got to hit 4 homers in the game. Just bang, 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 out one after another. As my at bats came up. And so that was kind of like the reemergence of Mahoney. And so I'm everyone's referring to me as, hey, good job, Dick, good job, Mahoney. They just really, they don't know that it's Walter behind
Thurmond.
They don't know it's me, playing as this guy, So, we go through the season and we're getting ready for the playoffs.
You go through the whole season now.
And
you're Dick Mahoney.
The only person that knows is the guy who's my friend Greg, who's on the team, and then the team captain who organized the team.
And they didn't blow the cover.
They didn't blow the cover, So we're getting to the playoffs. I'm actually getting ready to move back out here to LA. I'm getting ready for this production that I'm producing, this feature film. And I just had to jump ship on the playoffs. And so jumping ship, Greg, blows my cover in a group thread email and stuff like that. Oh, this is who Dick Mahoney was, is Walter. So it's this whole thing that blew up, like, this Walter Thurmond is playing as this guy, Dick Mahoney. And so everyone was like, oh, you're playing as this guy. But it's like, no, like, the guy Dick Mahoney is a separate individual. He has nothing to do with me personally. I just trying to emulate him, best that I could, and hopefully
You're in character.
I was in character, and hopefully he got mad at me for taking on that persona.
Who?
Mahoney did.
Mahoney did?
Yeah, man. He got mad at me taking on this persona.
No way.
I was gonna say, what happened with Mahoney?
Because it was too mainstream. ESPN took it on, picked it up, and got his name because he was doing some work undercover and everything. So like it wasn't a very good time during that moment. I thought I was trying to do something to honor his name, and obviously it didn't work out that way.
Wait. He was doing work undercover, meaning he was a cop, right?
Yeah, he keeps it really hush close to the vest, and so. But yeah, he reached out and he didn't really approve of it, and so.
Well, can I speak freely? If Mahoney ever listens, I would have been honored if somebody went out there and my name was Mahoney and someone out there and hit 4 home runs. Under an alias. He was an NFL football player, by the way.
But that was light work compared to what he really does on the field, though. So I mean, that wasn't even good enough,
Oh, you mean wait? Now, what was he hated? At what part was he hated?
He approved of the strikeout. He didn't approve of.
He didn't want to be associated with that.
He didn't want to be associated with that. Yeah. And then Greg just got out there and just breached the contract and everything of keeping it hush and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so the news got a hold of it. ESPN got a hold of it. I know it was I think I caught it in the Inquirer, the Daily News.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Inquirer is where I saw it somehow. Yep. Somebody posted on Facebook or Instagram or something, and then ESPN got it, and then you got the call from Mahoney.
Then unfortunately, all that stuff happened and went down and everything. So hopefully we can get him back out here and smooth it out a bit and probably see if he, if he's on a down period right now, maybe he can come on a podcast or something like that.
Yeah, we could bring him on.
See what's happening.
We could bring him on. Yeah, hopefully his numbers are up to par. So, Bill, Stax tried calling me.
Yeah. Why don't you give him a buzz? He wants to ring on, call on the show. He's a big Bird Court fan.
We're about to wrap up in a couple minutes. He can't call in, right? Is there a way somebody?
You just have to put him hold the phone up to the speaker.
Put him on.
I'll call him.
Mike Stackis.
Why not?
Who is this?
Our buddy Mike.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yo, what's up, Jimmy?
What's up, Stax?
How you doing, brother?
Good, buddy.
Hey, Stack.
Yeah, we're on right now. What's going on? We got Walt here. Billy's on Skype.
Fellas?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Walter?
Billy,
Hey, what's going on, man?
he's at the Cherry.
Yeah, Walt's right
By
here.
the way, we're live at Cherry
How's
Street
it going
Tavern.
out there? You guys in the studio?
Yes.
Nice. Billy on too?
Yeah, Billy's on Skype. Yup. He's at the
Yeah.
he's at the bar. He's warming up for the Gentlemen's Club later.
we need a reunion of the second meeting of Billy and Dick Mahoney.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, do you frequent the Gentlemen's Club with Billy?
I do from time to time.
Okay, nice. I gotta come out to this place.
We got somebody else who just called in too. We got a guy by the name Greg Listino who blew Dick Mahoney's cover. Tell us about it, Greg.
Unbelievable.
He deserved it. He broke. I had a deal.
Oh, can you repeat this?
I said he deserved.
So Greg Listino says Dick Mahoney deserved it.
Fact.
We had an NDA signed, Greg.
Did you guys really have an NDA? Oh no.
We should have though.
You should.
No, I thought the gentleman handshake would work, but I guess not. But he's right though.
And I still,
Well, these are hockey players, Walt. They're not track guys. They're some type of gentlemen.
Zach, if we didn't grab each other's cocks, it wasn't an official agreement.
There you go. There you go. That's a
All right,
sport.
Greg. Thanks for calling in. I can see why now he's the type of guy that would definitely break a contract on a handshake.
We have to be on the blades, I guess.
Yeah. He actually wants me to come in and play goalie for his team.
Oh, you play hockey, huh?
No, I played one time. I was in Russia at the St. Pete. I was in Davos at the Economic Forum, and then I was in Russia for the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, pitching a movie called Gagarin. And interesting, the goalie went down with a torn groin, and I was so bored sitting on watching everybody else play a sport, and I was like, put me in goalie, I'll play it. And so they put me in, and I have this guy named Igor Larionov, who's like one of the first defectors from Russia to the United States. He played for, like, it would be like the Legion of Boom, but he played for, like, you know, the Detroit Red Wings, kind of like that's how good their team was. And I had him and a guy named Ron Duguay, who's a legend from New York, and he dated, and I had him on a 2-on-1. I had Doug Brown on my defense, and they did a one-time shot, and I made a save. I still gave up 7 points, and like
You gave up 7 points.
but
I could have led with
did have that one save. But I did have that. It would be like, you know, down on you and the Legion of Boom or something, like in a rough touch game. But yeah, that was.
So, are you in fantasy football at all? Do you play in the leagues?
Have been in the past, but I haven't. Hadn't get into this year.
What do you like this year in NFL? Who are you up on? I know we got to wrap out, but in a minute. So, who are you high on? What's going on? What do you think?
You know, it's still tough. I didn't keep up too much in the offseason. I mean, obviously the most latest stuff that was going on, and you know, the whole Hard Knocks thing and stuff that was going on with AB. You can't help but see that in the news now. You know, but with them, if you know,
how you like the Eagles?
I was surprised because, you know, I think the Eagles are going to do good. I think they're going to be a very competitive team.
Mm-hmm.
One of the former Eagle, Michael Kendricks, who's with the Seattle Seahawks now. It was interesting to see him on the roster because, again, teams got up off of him because of the whole, you know,
he got in trouble.
He's got his
insider
sentencing
trading
in November.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in November.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, that was a little interesting to see there, though. But you know, I think Seattle is one of those teams to where they're rebuilding, but you never keep them out. You know.
Yeah. Well, they have the Eagles number. That's true.
Huh?
They have the Eagles number. Seattle always they have the Eagles
yeah.
number. Like Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, is our Achilles heel a lot of times.
But I mean, I know people hate it, you know, but the Patriots, you know, they're another little teams that are going to go back to be competitive to you know.
I think
go
the
win a
Eagles.
Super Bowl.
I think the Eagles Patriots get a rematch again in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Kansas City doesn't have the defense up to par to really
True.
pull it off, in my opinion.
That's true.
Obviously, you know, very exciting, great offense.
Is there anybody else in the NFC that you think that's gonna compete? You know?
I think the Rams could compete.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're
Rams good.
They are a good team.
Would the Eagles be your pick to go to the Super Bowl if you had to pick?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
I just want them to say the Eagles are going to go to the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
and I ride with the Eagles. I ride with the Eagles. I can see Seattle being in that position.
Yeah.
The NFC is going to be tough. You know, it's going to be a tough division for sure.
Seattle,
like,
dude.
who else is there?
Saying Seattle, so.
Is it Saints?
Saints?
No, I'm saying maybe. You know, I don't know. It's those NFC South teams are interesting.
Yeah.
Anybody can win those divisions out there. You might have Tampa Bay might come out of the division. You never know.
Yeah.
You want to wrap it up? What have we got?
Well, what's your favorite cheesesteak?
Favorite cheesesteak?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'm a big.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So think about it.
I know.
Because you might get some backlash.
I know. That's a tough one.
Now,
I went
to
to Donkey's place today in Camden, New Jersey, and I got to say that's probably one of the best steak sandwiches around.
You went to Donkey's today?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Went at lunchtime. I had to meet my accountant, and I stopped at Donkey's before I came here.
I haven't gone there.
Donkey's in Camden. It's different looking. Yeah. It's on a Kaiser roll.
Oh, it's on the Kaiser.
Yeah.
Ice roll, poppy pea bun,
Yeah.
and caramelized onion.
Don't hang out there and get out of there after 5 p.m.
Get in and get out, huh?
Because it's in Camden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the steak sandwich is always about the bread.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a nice roll.
So do you have a favorite? Or do you
No.
which one you like?
I mean, I don't like.
Did you?
I like Pats. I like Pats.
Okay.
Okay. I
Alright.
mean, that's
You have to go to
Yeah,
Pats.
that's that's the mainstream ones. Geno's I'm not really a big fan of. I know people are gonna hate me on that one, but I'll take that.
Did you ever have Steve's?
Steve's. Where's Steve's at?
Steve's is on what? 17th and Walnut. It's in North.
Right off
Northeast.
Chestnut.
Northeast. Okay.
It started in Northeast Philly, but there's one downtown, 17th and Chestnut or 16th and Chestnut around there. You would know it. if you
Larry's.
had it.
I
think you
like
did.
Larry's though. Larry's is not bad though.
Larry's. I don't think
Larry's. It was over by we were living in North Liberties. It's off of like it's that main street right there. It's the main street right there.
Bill, did you ever have Larry's?
Joe's Steaks. Joe's Steaks is on Girard Avenue.
That's Joe's. Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of Joe's. I didn't get the right one though. That was probably my bad though. I was a newbie. I didn't know cheat or whiz with. I didn't know nothing about that at the time.
you
though.
got it.
So I didn't get the right steak.
Were they
there.
rude? Were they rude to you in line?
No, it was
They can be rude.
I know. Yeah, I was like, what am I gonna get? I don't know. Just give me a steak
Yeah,
sandwich.
just, I don't know. Just
Provolone.
whatever.
I didn't even
Choose.
get it right.
It's like super.
I have a quick cheesesteak story. So Doug Ellen, a buddy of mine, who's the director of Entourage, he came to Philadelphia last year, and it was the day before the beginning of the NFL season, and we were playing the Atlanta Falcons. So I reached out to my buddy Ken Weller. I said, hey, Doug Ellen's in town, and we're going to hang out for the day, and I'm going to show him a couple tourist things, but we got to show him the Super Bowl trophy. I said, you got to get me in the NovaCare complex. I didn't even think to call you all. But so he introduced me to a buddy who works over at the stadium in he's a director of team relations. His name's Christian Mondler. And after we go to get the Geno's Pats, he does it, and then we see the Rocky statue. We get down. I said, you got a couple minutes. We're going to go down. I got to show you something at the NovaCare complex. And so this is the day before the NFL season begins, and we did a little tour. We went through the locker rooms, and then we went up to Howie Roseman's office, where we let him hold the trophy and let him know the Eagles actually have a Super Bowl, and he can't say anything anymore. No more than two Super Bowls in New York and rah rah rah. So,
But the Eagles have quite a few championships.
You got the
though.
wrong-
NFL championships
NFL
at that point, though.
championship.
Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about that though.
Once the
And I always
Super Bowl
grind my
came in.
gears when people were like, "Oh, Philly doesn't have any championships." Like, well, actually, they have some of the first championships.
Yeah.
So it's
Right before the Super Bowl
the
was
mergers.
instilled.
Yeah.
if you gentlemen can't decide on cheesesteak, I'm at the Cherry Street Tavern right now, and they have the best roast beef sandwich in the city.
Oh wow.
Get that queued up.
You're at Cherry Street right
Like
now.
Arby's.
They have great roast pork there. Wow.
Is it better than Arby's?
Number one. Arby's Gentleman Club, number one.
Dude, you look like Guy Fieri right now, biting into that on Diners, Drives, and Dive-In. Diners, Drives, and Dive-In.
Dives, yeah.
What the hell was that? Dive in. That's what you just did to that sandwich.
Billy Bourdain, beef unknown.
All right, so, I mean, any last things? Any last questions or anything for Walt? I think we're going to wrap it up now. Bill?
I would love to have Dick Mahoney on the show one time, man. I think that'd be awesome. So if you can reach out to him, and
Maybe we'll Skype it. We'll have him
that'd be
or
great.
something.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
For sure. We can do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, Walt. I really appreciate it, and can't wait to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
But totally. I
great.
mean, we'd love to bring you back on too. Maybe we do play Seattle not too far down the line. I don't know when that
I had
is.
like 100 other things to ask. We didn't get to it yet, but yeah, maybe we do play Seattle this year. Maybe we can get you on.
Yeah, we love
Leading up
that.
to the
around
game or
that
something like
time.
that. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we
Yeah.
got a lot
That's
more
fun.
to talk about.
Yeah.
We'd like to bring you back on probably at some point. Definitely for sure, and like talk some football, especially when the season's
Really underway. It's still,
underway.
yeah, it's still early.
and-
Still early.
Yeah, it's all drama, right? A lot of drama
Yeah.
right now.
Now
But
they play the Eagles play the Hawks.
It's good in
Go
Philly.
ahead.
Travis Scott and
oh God.
November 24th.
yeah.
November 24th. Oh, we got a ways
Night
out.
game. Prime time.
Oh,
wow.
Prime time. Okay.
Nice.
Where's it at?
Philly.
I think it's in Philly.
Oh wait, that's Thanksgiving weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, it is, huh? I might have to
They'll
make a
all,
trip out there.
Yeah, everyone will be out for that thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully not Travis Scott. Mike Scott.
Mike,
Yeah.
Mike Scott.
Mike Scott.
The Sixers player.
Travis Scott singer. Sorry.
Mike Scott. Right?
Yeah, so the 24th is actually the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Nice.
So,
All right, cool. All right, Billy.
all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me
Tell
on.
Cherry
Yeah.
Street Tavern we will be there. Keep them hot for us.
As he goes in again.
Big bite.
And thank you, Walter Thurmond.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so appreciate it, buddy.
Well, I'm in here when
Yeah, you gotta let me know when you're in town.
you're here.
We can't hear you, dude.
Later, Bill.
Okay, a little Richard Nixon. Okay.